What up, peeps? It's your girl, Josh, coming back to you from Real Takes. Today I'm doing something a little special. I'm going to be discussing things horror. As you all know, I've talked about many a times that I love my horror. So I decided to do a top 20 list of some of my favorite horror movies. Now, as you already know, I wanted to get into the feeling of horror with my shirt on, as you all can see. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. And now within my top 20, from time to time, I will be showing some added little pictures in between, and might do a couple of notable mentions of certain movies that might fall along a certain horror movie, whatever it may being, say for instance, a vampire movie, a werewolf movie, whichever. So if you hear me do that, then you'll understand whatever, because I can't name all of them. I could have made this list even longer, but I wanted to keep it to 20 just to be a little bit more realistic with my listing. I didn't want to get out of hand. So with that said, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Now, the first one for number 20 is Sleepaway Camp. Now, that one starred Felissa Rose, and it came out in 1983. I really enjoyed that movie. That one was one of those ones I watched. I remember me and my brother watched that. It was like on a weekend, whatever, it was probably a Saturday or whichever, and creepy, watching in the basement. In the middle of the night. Is dark, up under our blankets, whatever. And let's just say, of course, she is going to a summer camp with her brother. The mother, very weird, and she doesn't, she's kind of more like a loner. She does, of course, gravitate to her brother, whichever. And there's another young boy who actually likes her, who does talk to her, and she does speak to him from time to time. You do hear her speak, but everybody else she really didn't speak to too much. And of course, she has a couple of bullies here and there. One particular female who was so annoying in this movie. Let's just say that certain things start happening, and of course, one of those scenes with the girl with the long black hair, she got done in with a curling iron. Ill. Ouch. And then, of course, other people, get killed, like maybe a cook, whichever. And then, of course, as you all know, throughout the whole movie, towards the end, there's a big reveal, that we hear, of course, when her mother explains it to us about her character. She's not really a girl, she's a boy. And when you see the scene of both the counselors, like, oh my gosh, she's a boy. And they show that scene of her where she's giving her like the most evilest side eye ever, mouth open. That part was so creepy. And when they did that scene, the music with the scene was so creepy. I was petrified after I watched that. I couldn't wait to turn the channel and watch something else to get my mind off of it. Didn't do nothing for that night. The nightlight was on. It didn't even matter. But it was really good. Now, I know Felissa Rose does go around and does some horror cons at times, because she does show love for the fact that a lot of people do love her for that. That's considered like a cult classic. And even though she's done many other things, and she did come back to the Sleepaway Camp franchise, and did a couple after they, I think, did like 2 or 3, whatever. So she did kind of show love and homage by coming back to that. But yes, I know some people, when they do certain movies, they say, for instance, a horror, don't want to get typecast, but if they feel like they like the movie, then they just take it for what it is. People like them for that, whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. That was some work they did. The people appreciate the work they did, and I know with her, she does. She now, present day, I've seen her all grown up, very beautiful woman. And I said, if I ever do a horror con, I hope I get to meet her. I love her in that movie. She really did that part justice. To this day, it's still creepy. I don't watch it often, but every now and then I will pull it out. And just that scene alone at the end, the last 5 minutes, just like, oh, it's so creepy. So, but moving on, you guys. So number 19 is Return of the Living Dead. Now, that one I really did enjoy. That starred Linnea Quigley. Also James Craven. Rest in peace. He recently just passed away. And then we have another one, Miguel Nunes. I want to make some notations of certain names, whichever. Those are the 3 that I definitely remember. I think we had, what's his name? Tom Matthew was in it, or Matthew Tom. I could be saying his name incorrectly. He was in that as well. Of course, they're in a mortuary or whatever, and they're doing their work, and they come across some sort of, green goo, whatever, some type of toxin that gets into the air or whichever they breathe, that some of it gets out into like the cemetery area, and it starts to, cause, the dead to come up, and become the living again. And some of them are running for their lives so they don't become, the dead as well. Now, I know with Linnea's character, first, she is, just herself, and she's running. Now, one thing about her in this movie, she is new quite a bit. You know, she's very comfortable in her body. If you've seen her in other movies or whichever, that's never been a problem for her. But me being a young kid, I'm like, okay, can we put some clothes on? I'm not understanding what's going on. And I didn't know, so I wasn't sure what the heck was going on. But, you know, moving past that part. But, you know, of course, you know, Nunez's character, you know, being the brother, like, you know, we got to get up out of here, being in the car, driving here, driving there, trying to get anywhere where they can to safety so they can't get killed. And then, of course, you know, with James Craven's character, you know, him being sick, their faces looking all bad, and then of course wanting brains. Of course, with him, he did the right thing, even though I know it was painful. You know, going to the cremating area and burning himself alive. I'm just like, oh my God, poor thing. And then the other one, his go-to, he wanted to eat his girlfriend's brains. It was just, I love the first one. The first one is, to me, the best one. Now, they made multiple ones after that. You know, I think all the way up to 3 or 4. I could be wrong with the amount because I really didn't watch them after that. I just preferred the first one, so that's why I just like to watch that one, and I love to show love to that one more so than anything. But yes, that was one of those ones I did enjoy growing up, and definitely creepy. You know, when I was watching at the time, not so creepy now, whatever, but the first time I saw it, it did creep me out. I watched it a couple of times after that. So, but moving on, you guys. Now, number 18 is Tales from the Hood. That one came out in 1995, and it was written and directed by Rusty Kundieff. Now, he actually did another movie called Sprung, so if you know him from that, then you'll know who I'm referring to. Now, for this one, I really loved this movie because of the way it does. Even though it was dealing with horror, it also had a message to it. You know, certain things, you know, for the climate at the time, back in 95, with certain things going on. Definitely with certain areas of, like, you know, dealing with cops, whichever, then dealing with certain things happening during the South, you know, with Confederate, whichever. I loved how, you know, one of them starred a segment story with David Allen Greer. We're used to him being the nice, you know, guy, you know, of course, from In Living Color at the time. But of course, in this one, he was a mean, nasty boyfriend and was, you know, abusive and treated the woman's son very bad, like a real nasty bully, whatever. And loving the scenes with him being tortured, and when he finally they get the upper hand on him, the boy has a paper turn him all around, whatever, with the paper, because he's the monster in his little art that he would showcase, that his teacher would see, which was played by what is his name, Rusty, excuse me. So yes, and then of course it was a scene with the character where he's you know, from the South, whatever, and he's treating slaves wrong, whatever, and all. They come as spirits, you know, evil spirits of dolls, whatever, and they wreak havoc on him in his big mansion, whichever. Then you have the one where these cops do this one man wrong, didn't do anything or whatever. He was basically running in a campaign with her and all that, trying to deal with, you know, crime, whatever, and dealing with these supposedly dirty cops, whatever. And they decide to deal with him. Unbeknownst to them, they killed him. So in the end, he comes back to get revenge. And, you know, just really good. Now, of course, you all know there's 3 particular characters who are trying to, you know, get one up on this, you know, man who's in charge of a cemetery, mortuary of sorts, whatever, like a funeral home parlor. And, you know, he tells them all these different stories. And, of course, at the end, doesn't realize that he's going to tell them their story, and he gets upper hand on him. And as they say in the movie, and he says, whichever, and I hate to be disrespectful with the language and all that, he's like, you know, they were like, you know, show us the shit. And he literally and figuratively did, in demon style. And it was so good at the end, because I just loved how they opened up their caskets and it was all of them inside. That movie is definitely a cult classic. I love it. I know they did a Tales from the Hood 2 recently that just comes out this month, that's starring Keith David. I have yet to watch that. I've been hearing whispers that it's some people are not taking a shining to it. I'm going to watch it for myself and see what I think about it. Who knows, I might still do a review. We'll see if it's worth doing a review for it, whichever. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. But again, if you all have never seen Tales from the Hood, the first one, you definitely need to check it out. I still feel like it still holds up for certain things to this day with the climate we're dealing with, whichever. But I've really enjoyed it for that. It was some creepy parts, and it was done very well. He did an awesome job when he directed that movie. So, but moving on from that, you guys. So number 17. Number 17 is Rawhead Rex. Now, I don't know if you all know about that one. This is one of those ones I came across one night, and I was watching it, and it did terrify me. That creature was hideous. The big mouth, the teeth, the red eyes. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I was like, what is this? And then when he was always about charging before he kills you, kind of charging, like he's charging to the TV. Oh my goodness. Now for this one, I will say, the premise being that he's basically dormant within the ground, where he's brought up through some sort of, channel, whatever. Something happens. No, it's a certain stone from where this is. I want to say this is kind of based out of the way they were doing, because they all had an accent like Ireland or something like that. And something happens where it has some sort of storm, and it's the stone is to keep the protected, that this evil can come up and be resurrected from out of the ground. So of course the stone breaks in half, and he comes popping out, and lo and behold, he starts to wreak havoc in this particular town. Now this family is coming through. They have, a wife, a son and a daughter, and unbeknownst, they're helping the daughter. She's potting or whatever. The father leaves the son in the car, and the creature grabs him from the opposite side, whatever, and he gets killed. So from there, he's trying to locate this creature, whatever. He's causing havoc. He's, has a way of being able to mentally manipulate whatever. His eyes would get red and do this little thing where he would be able to control a human to do his bidding, which was the evil priest, in the community, whichever, and things of that nature. But of course, he eventually is put back into the ground, whatever, from some sort of crystal stone of sorts that only can be held by a female woman, whatever, who has some sort of lineage in the town. It was just all over the place, whatever. Far-fetched storyline, but it was cheesy. But I can say for his part, he was creepy, he was ugly, and I did have nightmares for like a day or two when I watched that movie. So, but yes, if you ever seen it, you guys, check out Raw Head Rex. I don't think a lot of places carry the movie like they used to. They might. It was hard for me to get that movie at the time when this actually came out. So I do have it now, but it's in VHS. I'm going to switch that over to DVD if I get a chance, just to keep that. I don't want to lose that. But yes, definitely check that one out, you guys. So the next one, moving on, Creepshow. Now with Creepshow, I can just say all of the Creep shows. Let's just go there, because there are certain ones from all of them that I love. Like, of course, one of the ones, of course, starring The Tale with Stephen King, where, something happens and he starts to turn into damn near like his damn grass. His lawn, just, sitting in his house, in his chair with his, his overalls, and he's getting greener and greener and greener until he's already green, whichever. I love that one, whichever. And the look on his face with his eyes are bulging out was just so hysterical to me. And then, of course, there's one of my favorites with, I want to say Barbara, and I cannot remember her last name, but she was considered the scream queen from the 70s and 80s. Movies like, say, The Fog and Swamp Thing. Her husband, he just feels he's being tortured because she's such a nasty wife. She treats people different. She's disrespectful to him, and let's just say he comes across some sort of artifact as a creature that he doesn't realize that is alive and is at his place of business. He's like some sort of professor of sorts or whatever. So he lures his wife, and basically, unbeknownst to her, he's trying to push up against him, and she doesn't realize what he's doing with her. She thinks he's crazy, he's lost his mind, but no, he hasn't. He's very clear in his agenda, and she gets the shock of her life when she opens up that looks like to be some big chest, and he comes out and he eats her up, whatever, and he throws it into the water. That was one of my favorites. I love that one. Another one was the one where Ted Danson was in it. He, of course, is a man who's messing with another man's wife. Of course, Leslie Nielsen's the character where he's messing with his wife, and he basically gets rid of his wife, and he gets rid of Ted Danson. But the way he does it is he takes him to what looks like to be some sort of beach, and he basically buries him with his neck, from his neck down, and he's out. So when the water comes up to the shore, it will drown him. And talk about drowning, horribly, where you can't move with it and all. You have to, drown so horribly that you can remember and you're in pain when it happens. So he thinks he's rid of them. No. They eventually come back to terrorize him, and they basically do the same thing to him. Now, for another one I love the one of some kids going over to a lake or whatever, and it's some sort of gooey thing that can, basically eat you up. It's kind of like an acid little goo that's in the water, and it's a long little black little goo that just travels in the water. If it sees anything that moves legs with them and all that, that's its new food. And every now and then it would get each and every one of them. One of them, I think towards the end, if I remember, finally almost made it. And they were on the land, and as soon as they tried to go, it came out of the water and got them, and it slid back into the water. So all you see is clothes from a lot of them, and then you see all their cars are sitting there. So it's like basically nobody would know, okay, did something happen? Somebody was, taken, whatever. Taken into the water to be my new food. And that one was creepy. It was gory and nasty. Another one I enjoyed that was really gross was the one with the man who was very OCD about things being very cleanliness, to the point where he would see a roach, he would try to kill it, stomp on it, whatever. Let's just say that the roaches got sick of it. They all band together and they got him good, to the point where they got him so good they went inside and then worked their way out. They started coming out of his mouth. It was such a gory scene, but I was here for it. I enjoyed it. Of course, you get a little bit of comedy with the Stephen King one, but a couple of them were very gory, very creepy at times, whichever. There's so many more that I could discuss, whichever, but those are the main ones I enjoyed from Creepshow. And Creepshow was really good back in the day. It was one of those ones similar to how they showed the tales, similar to, like, say, for instance, Tales from the Crypt. It used to be on HBO and all that. So yeah, I love that type of show when they did those. They were awesome. So, but moving from that, Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, I did say earlier in the week that I actually had a favorite from Nightmare on Elm Street, which was Dream Warriors, which is number 3. But let's just start from the beginning where it all began. Nightmare on Elm Street, starring Robert Englund. Love me some Robert Englund. I love, of course, the first one. The first one was the set one that was it Nancy Kerrigan. Of course, the character where she's, sees visions of this man, not knowing the full backstory as to how he was bullied, tortured, basically burned to life, whatever, all by all the teens' parents who tried to cover it up, whichever. And now he's coming for the kids of the parents that did him wrong when he was younger. So I love the premise of the movie. It was done really well. That particular one was not, more so definitely horror and gore. Conflict is more like the Dream Warriors one, even though it was certain parts that were really good, whatever, but he was more where he would put a little bit of comedic in that one, whichever, which is one of the reasons I did actually like it sometimes. But I love the first one for how it was with the tone it set. And second one was just as gory as well. I like the way they did one, because that one really went there with the R rating, with the way they did that setup. He did quite a few of them, and then eventually it kind of tapered off, and then we had the New Nightmare. Did not like that one. No, nothing against the guy who played him, but I wasn't feeling that one at all. Then from that, it was just what it is now. I know Freddy Krueger will be making an appearance, which he just recently made an appearance on the Goldberg, which actually was on the 24th. I have yet to watch it. I actually DVR'd that. I'm going to watch that soon. Matter of fact, I might watch that today. And I just know it's just paying homage to it, and the fact that he felt the need to put the makeup back on just to do it. I wonder how much pressing they did to nudge him to do that, because it's not like he's jumping around to do that, but he does sometimes put on the makeup when he does some of those horror cons. So I give him kudos to that, because he knows he has a good following with that particular character. That thing will go down in history. That's a cult classic, and I'm right there with everybody else. I love me some Robert Englund. Plus, before that, of course, he was in Remember V, the TV series and all that, so I've had my fandom with him before then, but this one's definitely solidified it. So he can do anything and I would watch it. I don't even care. So, but with that, you guys, tell me which ones you all like. I'm just curious anyway for all the Nightmare on Elm Street, whichever. So we're moving on. My next one is, of course, Friday the 13th. Now that one, of course, came out, the first one, of course, 1980. We get to see how he became the slasher, of course, Jason Voorhees, seeing how things happen with his mother going around. You're thinking it was just him killing, but it was his mother, whichever, doing some of the killings herself, and then the girl getting up her hand on her and seeing the shrine she made. Oh my goodness, that was a good one. The first one is always my favorite. I didn't mind the second one. That one was good. I love, of course, Friday the 13th, New Blood. I love the one where he goes to New York City. I love the scene from that one, especially the one where the little, kind of like little punk rock kids, whatever, were trying to bully him, and he turns around, gives them that little look and pull that mask up, and they went on about their business like, yeah, I ain't got time for you, yeah, because that wouldn't have been not good. But yes, I love Jason Voorhees. I did speak recently about how LeBron James is trying to keep, opening up, doors in regards to certain things he's trying to do, in Hollywood. And this is one of those things he's trying to resurrect, so to speak. Curious if that's going to happen. He might have a little bit of clout. We'll have to see. I don't know if he's going to get that far, because I know they're going through some situations still with some court proceedings with the creator of the original, and also the creator of Jason Voorhees, of the character. So we'll have to see how that's going to pan out. Now, for Friday the 13th, you all recall they had one that came out in 2009, starring Jared Padalecki, and I actually enjoyed that one. I really thought they were going to continue it on, but you see how that goes. So, but with that said, you guys, moving on from that one. So the next one, The Fly. And that one came out in 86. It stars Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. Let me tell you, besides being creepy, that thing was gory and nasty. Now, the setup, of course, you all know he was some sort of, genius who was trying to create some sort of pod where he can splice, certain genetics and DNA together. And he kept, failing and failing, certain, animals getting killed, whichever. And eventually he decides to put himself in a pod and try to see if he can, go from one pod to another. And unbeknownst to him, there was a fly in there, and that's when they splice together, and he starts to change his overall genetics, his human form. He starts to go from looking like a human to looking like a fly. Human, fly. And I'm going to put up a transformation somewhere up in here so you all can see that, because when you look at that and you see how he goes from looking okay to going deteriorating, you see the scene, of course, of him, losing nails. He's messing with his nails, and you see a scene he's messing with, his teeth. Then you see the scene of him, and Gina Davis' character goes to see him, and he loses his ear. And he's like, help me, and whatever. And she's hugging him. I wouldn't have been that close, but it is what it is. And then the scene, of course, of her recording him, trying to eat a donut, and he's regurgitating it because he doesn't even get it close to his mouth. Just nasty. And then, of course, you all remember the scene. It sets up towards the last 10 minutes or so of the movie where the friend's trying to help her because of course she finds out she's pregnant. He follows her, jumps up on a building, whatever, breaks through the thing, grabs her, takes her, and he has to go help her to get her back. And then he, of course, regurgitates up acid on the man's hand, and then he goes for his leg. Once he falls down to the ground, whatever, he does his leg, whatever. She's taking forever to come out to tell him. I'm like, really? It's like he could have only gotten one part, unfortunately, even though it's painful enough for two, And then, of course, that's when she pushes him away, sneers or whatever, and he's trying to grab her to put her in, the pot or whatever, the way he did her. Oh my goodness, that scene when he finally becomes a full-fledged fly, and then he's like, just kill me. He has enough in him to remember his human side to tell her just to kill me, use the shotgun. It's just so sad. It was really done really well. Just so nasty at times. Let me put it like this. With that particular movie, the nasty effect, that's kind of how I felt even watching this, because all these other movies like Saw and Hostel, they didn't have nothing on it, because this is the one that really started the gore for me watching that movie with how disgusting it was with those particular scenes. So yes, that's one of those favorites that I actually enjoyed. So moving on, you guys, the next movie is Halloween. How fitting. Now for this one, as you all know, most recently we had a sequel that was just recently made for the 40-year anniversary, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, come out about a week ago, and is doing great at the theaters. We're going into Halloween next week on a Wednesday. That should be great. I already saw the movie, and I enjoyed it. I went with a friend. We had a ball. We were talking about the original, of course, how it's John Carpenter's movie, whichever, and of course Jamie Lee Curtis playing Laura Strode, whichever. Of course, this young little boy, stabs his sister and all that. Wreaks havoc, whichever. Comes back and wreaks havoc on her and kills some of her friends, and she barely gets out, unscathed, literally, whichever. And let's just say that in this particular one for the sequel, because they did a Halloween 2, of course 3, whichever, and we had a Halloween H2O, whichever, where Jamie Lee Curtis came back. And a couple other ones where Rob Zombie did a Halloween. A lot of people like that one, whichever. Now, here we are with the most recent one that just came out. Now, this one was gone because, of course, in this one, Jamie Lee Curtis, and I hate to say it, and I'm going to go here, she was a badass. I loved her in this one. And, of course, because in the first one, 78, she's younger. People consider her like a damsel. She's barely getting out of the situation, all that. But this one, after years and years of preparing, she did her thing. So I loved watching this because, of course, they paid homage in the movie and certain scenes, certain things that were happening in the movie, whichever, which I loved as well. And, of course, the shape coming back, the original from the first one, the original from another one came back. And it was just how respectful that they showed that respect, to it. Even though they modernized it a little bit, but it was like vintage old Halloween. So, yes, I had to put this on my list. That's one of those ones that is straight classic. Halloween, whichever. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis did a couple other horror movies, after that as well. So she became a horror queen as well as some other females who were, doing a lot of horror in the 70s and definitely all through the 80s. So, but yes, I had to add that one on there, guys. So moving from that, number 11 is Pet Sematary. Now, you all know recently I've been talking about them doing the remake that's coming out next year, and that's because we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary next year for it. So at the time, didn't know they were making that because I kept wondering when it was going to come out. But seeing that we know for sure it's coming out in 2019, now it's more fitting and understanding for that part. Now, I love that one. I love the original. Pet Sematary 2, some garbage, never care for that. The first one, of course, you all remember how the story goes, whatever, with the Creed family, You have the two kids, the wife, he's a doctor, whichever. There's an area where it's listed as a pet cemetery. You have the characters, the man living in the area who's friendly with the family, whichever. You have Rachel Creed's sister who has spinal meningitis, whatever, and things of the nature. Certain things start happening as cats around, whichever. They lose their son, and then they bury them. And of course, he starts to figure out certain things happening that can help him resurrect, his family. So he decides to resurrect his son using certain things he should not be doing, and that causes even more issues with him, his wife, their friendly neighbor. It was just a mess, but it was so good. The cat was creepy, the little boy when he came back was creepy, the sister who has the spinal meningitis, creepy, even though that was a guy playing the female, but he was creepy the way they made him look. Oh my goodness, oh my gosh. I'm looking forward to this one now. First, I fought it. I did not want this one to be made. I said it many times if you all saw my reaction. But I did see, certain people are going to be in it. Jason Clarke, Amy Seimetz, and John Lithgow. So that kind of, turned me a little bit to consider it now. So, and I did the trailer reaction to it, so I really enjoyed the reaction from what I saw. So I'm looking forward to, they might do a trailer, maybe a trailer number 2, and see how that looks, and that might be it. I might decide not to, whatever, but we have a little ways before that comes out, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one now. I'm on board, but again, the first one still holds up. The first one still is still creepy to me. I can't go wrong with that. So, but moving on, you guys. Now I'm at 10. We're at the top 10 now, so let's go ahead and move on with this one. My top 10, my number 10 in this one is Witchboard. Now, I don't know how many of you all have seen this one, but that was one of those ones that creeped me the hell out. Now, if I say Witchboard, you all should know I'm talking about a Ouija board. We already know the gist of it. You shouldn't be playing with a Ouija board. You shouldn't be playing with a Ouija board by yourself. I know people are like, oh, that's superstition. No, I wouldn't touch those things. I want no part of that. And when I saw this movie, I think since I saw that movie, I have not wanted nothing to do with that anything with a Ouija board. Now, this movie starred Stephen Nichols and Toni Katan. If you know who I'm talking about, she's the one with the fiery red head. She was also in the movie Bachelorette Party with Tom Hanks. She's done a couple type of 80s rocker music videos, excuse me. So yes, that is her. Very beautiful lady, whichever. She's of course a character who has some sort of get together, and she does a little Ouija board session, and Stephen Nichols' character is the one that sets it up. She's with her fiance, he's not the fiance, and she's doing it whatever she meets would look like to be a little boy. Now, unbeknownst to them, she keeps the Ouija board and she starts to do the Ouija board by herself. Had no business doing that. Stephen Nichols is like, where's the Ouija board? I need to pick it up. Or she has it. She's like, she shouldn't be doing it by herself. Of course, things start happening. Certain things happen. She can't get out of rooms, whatever. She's hearing sounds, whichever. Just basically terrifying the crap out of her. Of course, by then, they feel like she's become too close to it, whatever. Plus, the spirit she's talking to is not the boy anymore, hence. And right there, they just try to do a cleansing of the house, the spirit and all that. That causes issues with the person who does the overall seance, whatever. Then they're in harm's way. Stephen Nichols' character's in harm's way. And of course, now the fiance is left to be the one to save his girl before she is taken over with this particular spirit of this evil one that's come through the Ouija board. Creepy movie, scary movie. The music alone scares me to death when I watch it. I really get freaked out just watching it for that music alone. And the man in there with the axe was so creepy. Oh my goodness. If you all know what I'm talking about, you'll understand whichever. It's a scene with him, and there are a couple of them, especially the part when she moves her bedspread, thinking she threw the Ouija board outside in the trash, and she comes back and it's standing right there and she sees the spirit of him, and you just I sound cheesy, but I don't care. It was creepy, and I'm watching it in the dark in my basement. There's again dark in the basement. You got that was always the set tone when I'm watching these movies, because it gives you the full effect. You got to have the full effect. So, but yes, it's a really good movie. We all have recently seen a lot of Ouija movies they've made recently in the last couple of years, and they're okay for what it is. But I like the old school. That one still stands. It still holds up pretty good, pretty damn nicely. So, but with that said, you guys, moving on. Number 9 is Pumpkinhead. That one starring Lance Henriksen. I'm a fan of a lot of his work. This is one of them. I love him because he's done many different genres of movies, but this one with the horror I love. Now, this one came out in 1988, and of course you all know an accident happens where his son is killed by some reckless teenagers, and he wants revenge. And of course he has this crazy looking woman resurrect this thing to go out and basically kill one by one. And of course with him not realizing what he's done, whichever, he tries eventually to stop, this evil, whichever that he has asked this woman to lay at, the foot to handle, what he wants done to get some sort of justice for the killing of his son. Now, I really like the creepiness of this actual creature and the height, the hind legs, the long arms with the claws, the big face with the eyes, the mouth, just gross looking. And certain parts in the movie were creepy, like they'd be in the woods trying to run away, whatever, and they all of a sudden appear here. And it's like, how fast can you run? And that's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm like, ew, oh God, no. So, but yes, that was one of those ones I really enjoyed. They did quite a few other ones. I don't know how far they went. Did they go to Pumpkinhead? Was it 3 or 4? I can't recall. But 1 was the one I liked. I didn't mind 2 so much, but I like 1. Now, for me, I just stick with that one. That was fine, whichever. But yes, those are one of those ones, you guys tell me which one you like. If you like me, you like the first one, hey, it is what it is. Now, moving on, I'm going to go to the next one. Number 8 stars Lance Henriksen as well. It is Aliens. Also, besides starring him, it stars a badass female, and that is Sigourney Weaver, aka Ripley. I love that movie. I know some people consider it like a science fiction type of movie, but I still consider it a partly horror as well. At the times in the movie, they were really good. Definitely creepy parts in the movie. I just love that movie. I remember going to the theater and enjoying that. Of course, if you all recall, of course, the first one, Alien. Of course, you get introduced to her, and she's the one that's the survivor coming back down in her little sleeping pod and explain to them what happened, on the ship, whatever, losing all her crew, her men, and then them forming a new crew to go down. And at first she doesn't want to do it, but then she goes. And then, of course, some of the same things happen, but this time there's a queen alien, and she's, of course, having all these, aliens, whatever. So this thing is infested with them, and it's like they can only contain it so much that they're getting the upper hand on them. So in the end, she of course has other characters. You get Colonel Hicks. We have Bill Paxton. Rest in peace. He was in the movie. Then of course we had the girl played Newt. I love the scenes with her and Newt, whichever, and I love the other scenes, of course, with Corporal Hicks, whatever, and all that, him coming to the part, and of course, Bill Paxton bringing the funny at times in the movie, of course, bringing some good shooting up, whatever. It was just a good movie. That queen was just not having it. I love the scene when she finally gets the little girl, Newt, whatever, and she's trying to walk out, and at first they didn't want to let her out, whatever. The queen acted like she didn't, and she let her kids on each side, like, no, back up. And then all of a sudden, one of those eggs opened up, and she's just like, I can't let this go down. And she just burns them all. By then, the queen's like, nah, you ain't getting out of here that fast. And the scene with Lance Henriksen where the queen pokes through and rips them apart. And let me tell you, that scene in the theater, there was a man, he was just like, God damn. And I swear to God, that's exactly what I felt. Because I'm like, I can't say it. I was young. But that thing, it was just like, that's all you could think to say. Like, damn. Because I thought she was just going to pierce him and then throw him down. But she slips him in two. And that scene was so good. Because that's when it sets up the part where Newt's to hide. And then Ruby comes back in one of those big gadgets. And she's like, you get away from her, you. And it was just so good. She smacks her, knocks her down. Then the scene that she's basically holding on for dear life when the hatches opened up to suck them out. And you can only imagine. I keep thinking every time I see the part where the queen is holding on to her one foot, and you're just like, damn, that weight's got to be heavy. How could she do it? Because I would have felt like I was going to lose. She'd have broke my ankle. But yeah, that was a good scene. Just everything about the movie I love. I never get tired of watching that movie. If that movie was come on, say for instance, just on one of my premium channels, I would stop whatever I'm watching, whatever I'm doing. I'll probably just sit there and watch it. That's just one of those ones I just cannot help but to not watch. So had to throw that out there, you guys. So moving on. Now, this is number 7, and this is tied. This one is a vampire-themed one, and it was 2 of them that I love them too much that I had to put them on the list together. I'm going to talk about them both equally. The first one is Fright Night, and the second one is The Lost Boys. Now, Fright Night, I love me some Chris Sarandon. I think he's just, oh my gosh, I loved him in this movie. He was straight creepy in this movie. I love how the neighbor, the young teenage kid neighbor is nosy, whatever, but nosy for the right reasons, but then no one believes him. His girlfriend doesn't believe him, his friends don't believe him, until Chris Sarandon's character, of course, finds a way to, cozy up a little bit to one of his guy friends, whatever, making him his little werewolf. And then, of course, the girlfriend, where he decides he wants to, woo her enough that he gets a bite in on her. And then he meets, of course, remember the guy on the TV show who was, playing, a vampire killer, whatever. He uses him to help him with his skills so he can, killed the vampire in the town, whichever, and just I just loved it, everything about it. I love the scene of Chris Sarandon turning the girlfriend, and all of a sudden you see her when he's leaves her in there and he comes in there to try to save his girlfriend. She turns around, all you see is that big mouth. I'm like, oh my god, every time I think about that part, she was so ugly in that scene. I'm just like, oh my god, could you imagine if she bit a little bit chunk on that arm, like trying to suck the life out of him, like he wouldn't have a damn shoulder. But anywho, but yes, that was one of those ones I really love to watch. Still scares me a little bit, still a little creepy at times, whatever, and all that, in a dark setting. I do love, the second one was pretty good, Friday Night 2, as you all know, of course, you know the synopsis for that one. So another vampire comes here at first, beknownst to him, that is actually the character from the previous one, his sister, and she's coming for revenge, taunting him, feminine wiles, whatever. It was done for what it was. It was pretty decent all, but the first one is the best one now. You all know, I want to say almost 10 years ago, they made a remake of Fright Night, and I'm gonna tell you like that was some garbage. And I know that stars Colin Farrell. No offense to you, buddy, but no. Only reason I can say I like any part of that movie is because they played homage to Chris Sarandon, and he actually made an appearance in it, which was really a cute scene. But other than that, there was nothing about that I like. The first one still, as I say again, holds up really well, and people to this day probably still like it for what it was. Now that one, I don't know. They don't talk about that one being a possible remake with all these different horrors that I know Jason Blum wants to remake, so you never know. They might do that, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, I love the first one. Still good. Now, moving to the second vampire movie, The Lost Boys. Oh my goodness. Kiefer Sutherland, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, Diane, what is it Diane Reeves? I might be saying her last name wrong. I think I got it right. And also Billy Worth. Let me tell you, that movie, and Jamie Lee Gertz, she's in that too. Jamie Gertz, excuse me, I'm getting her name wrong. My apologies, because I forget it's two Jamies, Lord. Just the cast was so good in this movie. I loved the casting in this movie. I love everything about that movie. I love the music in the movie. Definitely love me some Kiefer Sutherland, because I was a fan of some of his other work, prior to him doing this one anyway. Plus, I love his father, Donald Sutherland. So, yes, this one was one of those ones that's definitely a favorite. Plus, back then it was this big thing about the Corey boys doing a lot of movies together, because they had that friendship bond, whatever, and all that. So I love always watching one of the movies that they were always starring in together. So I like that little bond they had. Also, this introduced me to another character in the movie who was in this particular picture I'm going to put up right here, and he's to the far left, and that is Billy Worth. That became, when I saw him walking up on that scene where they show all four of them standing there, and I'm like, who is that with that long black hair? Oh my God. There's a person I know is going to watch this, and I'm going to put this out there, and she might make a comment in the comment section. Sabrina know what I'm talking about. We discussed this. You already know, girl. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, he is freaking hot. But yeah, okay, focus. But yes, Lost Boys is one of those, of course, classics that everybody loves. I love it. I love the music. Like I stated, it was good. I really hope they don't remake that one. I think they should just leave that one alone. I hope so. But sometimes I feel like if I say it out loud enough, somebody might hear it and say, no, look at that. No, we'll just do that to just to get up on her skin, but whatever. But yes, that's another vampire movie I love. There's so many different vampire movies I really do love, but this is one of the ones I could make a notable mention, which is one of the ones that's the top one out of these two, and that is Bram Stoker's Dracula. I should have put that on there, but that's okay. I'm just going by the horrors that I really watch on a more frequent basis, whichever. So, but moving on from that, you guys. Now, number 6. I love this movie. A lot of people might not know about this movie. This came out in 1982, and it's called The Beast Within. Now, for this one, I remember watching this one, and it creeped me out more so for the fact that even though the transformation in where he turns into whatever it is, some sort of creature he is, the music, the way this movie starts off at the beginning scene where you see them in their car all the way at the top of a hill, and you see the lights of the car coming down, that music is creepy. If I watched it in the dark, let's just say if I was walking down the hall and that song came on, I literally probably would stop in my tracks and turn around like, what the heck, whatever, and kind of get a little freaked out, from it. But yes, this movie was really, really good. Let me just tell you, I never can get over it, and I said it too because I was talking to a colleague at work, and he likes it too, and I was so glad. I was like, oh wow, you like it too. Another one he didn't know nothing about. He's like, how did I miss this off my radar? I said, yeah, a lot of people don't know about this one. The fact that the husband, he newly married in the movie, and they have a dog in the back, car breaks down, so he decides to go get some help. He leaves his wife with the dog. Now, I'm gonna tell you like this: ain't no husband gonna leave me in no car waiting for him to come back with help to tow the car somewhere to be serviced. We're gonna walk together and we're gonna go. Now, she of course lets the dog out because he hears something, of course, because of the creature gets loose that was shackled, and unbeknownst to her, of course, she of course runs, falls, typical. And of course, the creature has his way with her, assaulting her. Here we are 18 years later, she has a son. Knowing that the husband is not the father, of course he knows. The son doesn't realize what's happening to him. He's having these little issues where he's having nightmares and dreams, certain things that happen to him, but it's actually his creature slash father's feelings, visions, whatever, of these people who did him wrong. Now he's basically getting revenge for his dad, and unbeknownst to him, towards the end of the movie, he has a transformation where he kind of turns into a similar creature like his dad was. That's basically the gist of it. And let's just say that transformation is something to be on. It looks very cheesy, but let's just say after he's completely done transforming into this creature, that's when it kind of gets a little bit more better from there on out, because there's a scene where people are like, oh my god, no, you don't like this. It is what it is. Most of the horrors from the 80s, some of them were rather cheesy, but it is what they are, and I don't mind them for that, whichever, because some of them, like I said, hold up, and some of them I just love them for the nostalgic purpose of them, because they're actually good. So, but moving on from this one, now I'm down to my 5, you guys. Now this one, number 5, is The Thing, and that's the one starring with Kurt Russell that came out in 1982. Yes. Now for this one, I love this one because this one definitely is not the original, and there's the one that came after this one. I want to say it came out, I want to say between somewhere between 8-10 years ago, which was pretty decent for the one they did for The Thing when they did the remake. I actually enjoyed them. I was surprised I was going to like it because the way it was set up in that one, it looks like it's a prequel to the one that Kurt Russell is. That's the way it falls in line with it, and it was really done really well. That one was really good. When you think about what happens to the poor, dogs in the kennel, of course, some type of, the creature takes control over one of the, the creatures, and he's in full form like this, but of course he starts to change coming out, and of course the other one's like, get me out of here, get me out of here, and then of course it finds its way to always take over another host, and of course it gets into a human form, and every time you would see certain scenes where Kurt, they're like, okay, we got to check each other's blood, whatever, to see if somebody's infected. I love the scene where everybody, of course, is, he has the blowtorch and he's making them all, do their blood and put it in this little petri dish of sorts and whatever. And then you get down to, 3 people left on the actual, like, sofa or whatever, couch. And then that one particular person, before he got to the last 2, of course, you see he's infected and he starts shaking, pushing up the sofa. It was just a good scene. I love the scene of the guy trying to resuscitate his friend, whatever, and the stomach opens up and his hands goes into it. Classic. Everything about that movie, classic. I love that movie. And I love how towards the end, there's only 2 of them left and they're both looking like they're freaking freezing. And they're just talking to each other, and they're just like, yeah, man. And of course, that's Keith David in that one too. So yeah, it was just a good movie. I love that thing. That one never gets old for me. I love it. So moving on, you guys. Number 4, Hellraiser. And let me tell you, there's been so many Hellraisers. I want to say it's been 8 or 9. They have gone so far. Recently, they had one that came out earlier in the year, whatever. I did not watch it. I saw the trailer. It's just not the same because Penn Bradley is not doing it, and he was the best thing about the first couple of the Hellraisers in the franchise. And of course, I love the first one. Ashley Lawrence was awesome in it. I loved it. What can I say? The Cube, just the Cube, the woman, with her husband and the guy she loves, whatever, trying to help him bring home people so he can use that to graft skin grafts so he can become, human again. The blood from his skeletal body, just, oh my gosh, just everything about it. The way they ripped him of his new skin, how Pinhead came to be, how, they put all the, everything. I loved it. Just gory on top of gory. That's another movie that was very gory too as well. I was talking about The Fly, of course, with Hostel. So that was another one that was gory up there in the alley. The first, I'd say 2. The second one was okay. I didn't mind the third one, and then after that, it's kind of got ridiculous, and I just kind of lost touch. I think Penn Bradley probably was like, okay, I can only do so many of these. Don't care about the money like that. It's just not always not about that. But you can always tell people like, okay, you're just kind of moving this along. If you do 3 of them, it's like, okay, cool, fine. But it's like they want to keep doing and doing. Like I said, recently this year they had another one come out. They honestly went straight to DVD. I was like, I'm not watching that thing. I'm like, nah, I'll stick to the ones from the beginning that still, as again, hold up. I don't need to be watching stuff that I know clearly I have no desire to watch, and I have no desire to even lock eyes with that. So, but moving on from that, you guys, let me know which ones you all like from the Hellraiser one. If you like me, if you like the first one more so, whatever and all, and if you like for the simple fact of Penn Bradley, because I know I do. So, but moving on from that, we're down to the last 3, you guys. My goodness, I'm almost done. Now this one, let me go ahead and put out the notable mentions on this one because I didn't have to narrow this down because I knew which werewolf movie this was going to be the one that would fit the number 3 top slot. Of course, you have movies like, let me see, Van Helsing. You have movies like Silver Bullet. You have movies like Dog Soldier. Love Dog Soldiers. You have movies like The Howling. Yes, love that one. That was tough. I could have tied this one as well. I almost could tie it, but no, I'm going to be true. Because this particular werewolf movie did it. Talk about traumatizing me as a kid. American Werewolf in London. I'm going to tell you. Let me just kind of give you a little photo. This one, of course, came out. What was this? This was, I want to say 19, was it 81, 82? I'm forgetting the year. My apologies on that. This one definitely scared me to death. I saw this when I'd already seen Thriller. I saw Thriller first and foremost because I knew John Landis had directed American Werewolf in London, but I saw Thriller with Michael Jackson. And I was over at a girlfriend's house and sleepover, whatever. She freaked me out, whatever, and all that. And of course, I'm in the bathroom changing all that, putting on my my nightgown, whatever. Just, oh God, please don't. Then I remember, a friend of mine telling me about American Werewolf in London, whatever. Dumb me, going to watch that with my brother. And I'm going to tell you, oh my God, I don't know what I was thinking when that transformation came. And I'm going to go ahead and let you all see what I decided to add before I go into my details about this. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here first. Oh boy. I can't believe I'm doing this. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let me tell you, if I met David Naughton in real life, I couldn't stand beside him because I would be thinking about this particular scene. But I will say the practical effects were really good because oh wow. Feel sorry for him. Ooh. Could you imagine if this is real? Ooh. Oh my God. Oh wow, that scene right there, oh my God, so real. It looks painful as I don't know what. Ooh. This scene right here. Oh God. Ew. Oh God. Ooh. Oh man. Why do I do this to myself? Mm. Ew. Okay, now that you all have seen that, you saw how I behaved. Watching that transformation scene had me literally traumatized. I had to sleep with my nightlight on for like, I think a week, or at least 5 days, whatever, and all that. It's like, yeah, nah, I can't be in the complete dark. I was freaked out fully. That thing looks so damn real to me. I could not take it. I was just not here for it. So I just, oh my God. To this day, let me put it like this. After I saw that when I was young, I didn't want to watch anything werewolf for a long time. Another notable mention, like Underworld as well. I wasn't here for it. I didn't want no part of anything werewolf at all. It took me until my late teens, early 20s to get past my fear to watch them. They still make me cringe to the dead, depending on the way it looks. If it's a lot of CGI, no. But when it's more practical effects, it's creepy to me. Like the American Werewolf in Paris, please, whatever. That's, I don't know what they were thinking in that one. But Howling, that one does creep me out a little bit because that transformation was good as well. Now, besides that, yes, I mean, the overall storyline, as you all see, is just typical. I'm like two guys backpacking and they tell you to stay on the path. What the hell? You know, like you hear the noise or something and you're walking towards it, and then the boy tries to leave. He should have stayed gone. That's just in me. I'm sorry. You want to save your friend, but if it's an animal, you know that you're next in line to be food. Just go. You can't save your friend. And when he came back, you see what happened. He got scratched. His friend Griffin Dune's character told him, you know, the full moon, beware of the full moon. And you see what he says. He's just like, you know, I'm sorry to call you meatloaf. Your friend can't help you now, but you're in the midst of a transformation. It's happening. You're in excruciating pain. You're burning up. It's happening. So yeah, I just never could get past watching that thing for the longest time. But every now and then, like I said, you can see it still affects me a little bit, that I just like, oh God, I really don't like watching that thing. But every now and then, I will watch it around the Halloween time with all the other different horror movies and all that, you know. And once I finish watching, I'll throw on a comedy or something to get my mind right, whatever, so I can move past that. So, but with that said, I just had to throw it out there. I said there's many werewolf movies I do love, but that will be the main one to this day that will always freak me out the most. So, but moving on, we're down to countdown number two, and it was only fitting because I'm a fan of him, Bruce Campbell. You all should already know what I'm about to say. Evil Dead 2. Now, some people are like, you don't like the one, don't have no problem with one was okay, but I like Evil Dead 2 more so than anything. And of course, after that, Army of Darkness, and of course we had Ash versus Evil Dead recently, which I was so happy when he did it. I was bummed when they decided to come back for a fourth season. They did us foul for that. I would have loved a four season disc set, but I'll take the 3-season disc, and I'm not going to stop me from getting it. Now, for Evil Dead 2, this is how it went down. My cousin, and I'm going to throw her in here, named Cousin Marsha, we went to go see that at the theater. I didn't know what it was about. She just said, we're going to go see something scary. Okay, so we go in there and everything, and I see what's going on in the movie and whichever and all that. The first part that scared me was the part where he hit the a tree and came out facing water. He comes up looking possessed. I literally screamed. I'm like, what the hell did you take me to see? I was not here for it. But then I have nowhere to go. She's my driver. I'm a teen. So we're sitting there watching it. Mind you, I am 11. So, you know, she's 1920, so we could watch it wherever she's considered the adult. So we're watching and all that. Of course, the scene of the girl talking about, you know, that thing down there is not my mother. When that man jumped up behind her, I screamed again. She's laughing at me. My cousin's having a field day with me. I'm like, what do you expect? I'm like, you don't know what I'm scared of? I don't even know what I'm scared of, but it was funny for what it was at the time, whatever, not realizing, you know, my fear of whatever other movies I was going to be scared of. But I just love everything about The Evil Dead. You know, he reads this book. His woman's in the back room. She becomes possessed, whatever. He has to kill her. He's fending off all these different type of supernatural entities that are happening. He tries to get away in the car. And then, of course, the bridge has been, moved up, whatever. He can't leave. He has to run back to the house, hiding in there. And then he's having to fend off all these different things. He saws off his hand because his hand, of course, becomes possessed. Love that scene. It's an epic scene. The scene with the deer on the mantle. Epic scene. Then of course the scene where the daughter comes back with her friend like an archaeologist of sorts, and of course she deals with this, sort of redneck man and his girlfriend, whichever. And then they go to take her to the house. She doesn't know what's happened. All this stuff has happened. She's thinking he's killed her mother. And she listens to the recording. And her father says that he killed her mother and put her down in the cellar. Of course, he's in the cellar. And she's like, I want to eat your soul. And just, oh my God, it was just so, so good. Everything about that movie was good. When I watched it as I got older, I loved it. I went back to eventually see the first one because I'd never seen the first one before I saw the second one. And then, of course, Army of Darkness, I love it, Just love the badass of all things encompass of Ash, aka Bruce Campbell. He is awesome. He's been on so many other shows. I just adore him. He just seems like a cool, down to earth type of guy. Now for Evil Dead, I would say recently, if you all know, the last couple years, they actually did a remake, and that was done by Fede Alvarez, and I've enjoyed it because a lot of people were dogging the thought of them making that one. I saw that trailer for it. It looked really good, and I went to see it, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really happy that it turned out great because it could have went a totally different way. He had the blessing of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, so that was the thing that solidified it for him with that part to move forward, and he had to just convince the fans, me being one of them, and let's just say a lot of people. I think like 85% of people really enjoyed it for what it was. It did very well at the theaters. So basically, we're waiting to see if he's going to do another one, just to kind of keep us, wanting more for Evil Dead franchise, whichever, we'll have to see. But I will always go back to Evil Dead 2. That's always going to be my favorite one out of all of the franchise. I love that one so much, so much. So, and like I said, I would love to meet Bruce Campbell. I just think he's awesome. I just had to put that out there again. He's just awesome on top of awesome. But okay, now we are down to the number one. A lot of people will be surprised I named this number one, but when I tell you why, and you all kind of just see me kind of talking through about my feelings for you, you'll kind of understand probably a little bit more. Still might not like the fact I made this number one, but hey, this is my list. Number one is Night of the Demons. Now, this movie, I love this movie. This is one when Halloween comes, when I get home, even though I'm working that night, I'm going to watch it until I fall asleep. I love this movie. This one stars Linnea Quigley, and it also stars, who is that on this as well? It stars our buddy who plays Stooge, and I want to get all their names, Hal Havens, and then we have, Billy Gale, who plays Sal. We have Angela, played by is Amelia Kincaid, and then we had Judy, which played by Kathy Podwell, and then we had the guy who played Roger, Alvin Alexis. I'm sorry, Alvin Alexis, excuse me. Now, for this particular movie, when I went to see this, I love this because this is just straight horror cliche at its best. You have these teens get together. Of course, it starts off with Judy. She's meeting up with her boyfriend and the crew. Everybody's trying to meet up to get together to go to this. First, supposed to be going to a party, but then some of them say, "Oh no, such and such is having a party, but we're going to have it at a haunted house, a house that is deserted." Now, the setup, of course, from that, Angela and Suzanne, they're the helm of this because Angela's the one who wants to set it up. And Angela's the one in the full black dress with the tiara, and Suzanne's the one in the all pink, whatever, played by Linnea. And I love how they go get the food in there. She's setting it up for that. You have the other stooge, with another girl in there, and then also Roger in the car, and then they have the other crew on their way. And just the music is eerie from time to time. They're trying to do a seance in front of the mirror, and of course one of the girls from the group sees the demon. The rest of them don't see it, whichever. Then you have the parts where they all want to start having a party inside. They have the food set up, whatever, and not realizing they've unleashed the evil in the house. He comes up, he goes into Linnea's mouth, whatever, and then she has this little kiss scene with Angela, and she basically is almost like the demon, the main demon throughout the whole movie that takes over Angela's body. Now, the way it is from there on out, all the different scenes in the movie, you have the scene of course, Judy and the other crew going upstairs, kind of investigating the house, whatever. Then you have the scene of, Roger. Let's just say, no, let me show some props to Roger. He tells him straight out, this is the house of the dead. And I'm getting out here, whatever, my father, father's a pastor, whatever, and all that. I know not to be in this house. This house is the house of the dead. And I'm getting out before it's too late. That's the brother in the movie. The brother using the sense. It is what it is. He knew. Everybody else didn't want to do that. They all were just like, oh, okay. They could listen to what he says. Stu was standing right beside him, literally like, yeah, okay, bro, whichever. And of course, like I said, you see the parts after, Angela becomes slightly possessed, whatever. She does this little dance. That's a very epic scene, that little dance scene, whatever, because I think in real life, the woman who plays Angela actually is a dancer. Then you have the scenes of course, Suzanne playing with Stu, going into the bathroom. You see her changing her face, doing this little type of like transformation, whatever. It goes from pretty, because she's all about her looks, whichever. Then you see, of course, Sal kind of, still enjoying the look of, this scene with her dance, whatever. But eventually he goes kind of walking around, comes back, whatever. And you see the part of Angela putting her hands in the fire, the flames, where he rolls out, whatever. But before that, you see definitely the scene of Stu's dancing with Angela, whatever, and she, bites out his tongue. Just, oh my goodness, that scene. Then a scene with Suzanne with Judy's boyfriend having a little trice, whatever, and all, and she's telling him, stop looking at me. Just, I mean, I could really go on and on. But I love how in this particular movie, people are being killed off one by one, whatever. And of course, Sal was able to rescue Judy, locked up in the room by her boyfriend, whatever. He's dead now. And then Roger realizes he's trying to get out, and one of his friends gets killed, whatever. And he's trying to see if everybody's still alive, whatever. Comes across Angela. She's already been changed. Her face looks horrific, whatever. But in the end, it's only a certain amount of people who live, and it's Judy and Roger. See, Roger was like, I'm trying to get out. And he was trying his darndest to get out of here, whatever. And let's just say that towards the end, you thought it was just going to be him, because there's a scene where he's trying to help rescue Judy. He falls over the brick, kind of like the brick area, whatever. But then she's barely dangling on. He's like, come on, girl, come on. And he grabs her and pushes her over, whatever. And they make it out before I think daylight comes up, and the demon goes back and, into the, the part of the mortuary underneath the building, whatever. But I just love the scene where you just like, he made it. Yeah, I'm going to go there. The brother made it. He didn't die within the first hour of the movie. He actually lived. He had since the beginning. He was trying his best to get out of there, even though certain things were kind of stalling him to try to find a way out. But in the end, the brother made it. You know how happy I was when I watched that movie when he made it. I know people are like, no, you did. Yes, I did. I was so happy that he made it in the movie. I couldn't have been more happy, I said, because it doesn't happen often. But when it does, you got to celebrate, People know this, So, but yes, you guys, that is my list of my top 20. I wanted to showcase a couple of them on here. Like I said, I could have made it longer, but I wanted to keep it at a condensed amount, whichever of the ones that I really, truly, truly like to watch, and that I love to watch still to this day off and on, because a lot of these things honestly are 80s movies. I'm going to tell you, like I said, I'm a 70s child, but I love a lot of things 80s, and especially with the 80s horror. So, you know what? And I'm happy with that, and I like my list. So, hopefully some of the stuff on this list you all like, whichever. Matter of fact, you all can do this for me then. Give me, if you want to make your top 20, or you can give me a top 10, give me a list of your favorite horrors in the comment section. I want to see which ones you all like, whatever, so I can talk with you all about them. So, but with that said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on my next videos. You guys, take care.